All right, well, welcome to the Caradoc Housing Corporation regular meeting of November the 15th. We'll start with a roll call. Frank Kennis is absent with notice, and I do want to welcome Jeff Lund, our board member who's finally been able to join us today. Thanks for joining us, and everyone else is in attendance. Regarding the agenda, would like to add an item to the agenda. So I need a motion to amend the agenda to include the letter received this morning from Tim Welch. Colin, Heather, all in favor? Passed. And the next is a motion that the November 15th Caradoc Housing Corporation meeting agenda be approved as amended. Heather, Jeff, all in favor? Passed. Any declarations of pecuniary interests? None? Okay. Approval of minutes. We need a motion that the regular Caradoc Housing Corporation meeting minutes of October the 30th, 2023 be approved as written. Heather first, Colin second, all in favor. Any discussion? All in favor? Finance, counts. Need a motion that the items be received for information. And we're talking specifically this one, the check detail report. Can I get a motion? Colin? Heather, any discussion? Any questions? All in favor? Passed. Financial reports. We have the financial reports. We have the balance sheet, profit and loss, trial balance, and budget versus actual January to October. Can I get a motion that the financial reports be received for information? Colin, seconded by Jeff. Any discussion or questions?
Just,
Yep, Colin? Yep.
Yeah, Director Dakin's not here. The total checking savings of $395. I just was going to ask him what's coming out of that, but he's not here.
Okay. We could maybe, I believe he's going to join us a little bit later, so we could come back to that. Question? Okay. Any other questions about the financial reports? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of accepting them? Number 6, Mount Bridges Affordable Housing Project. 6.1 is the proposed 2024 budget that was circulated. Any questions or discussion on the budget? Heather?
I just wanted noted for anybody watching that no, the mortgage is not in the budget. We can't put that figure in until we actually take over the building and the construction is complete and it's turned over to us. Then we will have it implemented into the budget.
But, and also, because we all had the same question, the available to finance at the very bottom. That's projected what's available to pay our debt.
Which I'll just note also includes the municipality.
Yes.
So it's mortgage and municipality.
Yes.
So that will come out of the bottom figure that is in this budget. All right. And we will put together, I spoke with Bill on this, we'll put like a financing budget together once we have all that information and the interest rate is confirmed and the final bill is received, and then we can create a financing debt budget.
Yeah.
Everybody's in agreement with that?
Just if I may, Chair, through you, if Director Dakin was here, I was going to ask him how we're doing on our draws against the municipality, $2 million, and when we'll start paying that back to the municipality too. But I'll park that one.
Okay.
It's in my notes.
In your notes? Okay, great. All right, next item on the agenda is building name. We have been asked by the contractor and the architects to please tell them what they want, what goes on that big sign at the road. They would like to finish that up ASAP. So the original sketch, I think, just showed the address, which is like 116 numbers in Adelaide Road. But you know, there have been some thoughts on something different, and I believe Mayor Grantham has an idea.
No, I did, and just one real quick. I think Caradoc Place would be a good name for a couple of reasons. It It recognizes the history of Caradoc housing. That name is probably going to change when the new bylaws are out, so it'll be Strathroy-Caradoc housing, but I think, because also remember Mount Bridges was part of, or the old Caradoc Township, and that's how the genesis of Caradoc housing. So I thought, just in recognition of the history and the current name of Caradoc housing, I like the idea of Caradoc Place.
Any feedback or thoughts? Heather?
I have no problem with that. I think that's very fitting.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's based on history, I think that's good for a name.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Can I get I'll need a motion then to instruct the architects to complete the signage with the name of the new building being Caradoc Place. Heather, Jeff, all in favor? Great. Business arising from previous meeting. I had a couple of things on here. One was the website. I hadn't heard back from Tricia, and unfortunately she's not here today. So I will follow up with her to see where we are with that webpage. And hopefully we can get something live as soon as possible. And then the second item that I had for business arising was there was a request at the last meeting for a landscaping plan and pricing. Did that come out? No. Okay. So I will ask Bill if he can get that and get that circulated as soon as possible. Did anybody else have any other items arising from previous meeting? Okay. Next item is property management. Item number 9. So just want to clarify, we received one other RFP that we will look at in camera, but we also have another potential option for the intern that we wanted to discuss today, and I'm going to let Colin lead since you had the conversation.
Yeah, so last week I had a discussion with Director Huff, who's our Director of Planning, just overall discussion about the project, about project management, what did she know? And she referenced me to a letter they received May 7th, 2022 from Tim Welch Consulting out of Cambridge. And the letter was all encompassing at that time. They were looking for entire project management. They, just as an aside, they'd initially approached the City of London Housing Development Corp to see if they would undertake project management. Didn't happen, but they had reached out to this group. So I followed up with an email and a phone call with Tim Welch late last week, I think Friday, to talk to them. He was certainly aware of the project. He was certainly aware of the particulars. So just, mention where we're at, and the term that we used was rent up, that we're in need for some immediate help with rent up and project management to get us through where we are. So hence the letter that we received this morning with a proposal. I did follow up really quickly with Director Huff on the company to make sure they had some bona fides and were well recommended. She said that they were. My personal thoughts on it, we need help. We need this to go well. I mean, we've asked a lot of town staff who are being compensated for this. Director Dakin, we're now in starting budget and strategic plans, but I know it's we really need to get this right. We need to make sure that we're financially viable. So I leave it up to the group. It looks good to me. That's the genesis how this came about. Just the name came. I've checked them out. I've looked at their website, and again, I trust Director Huff's opinion, and she said they were highly recommended. So leave it at that.
I also too checked them out on their website. They've worked with a lot of municipalities of our size. Obviously, I didn't have time to follow up with a phone call, we could possibly do that, but just of note, I mean, they look like they were ready to help us like as of Monday, or as of tomorrow start, so that's certainly appealing. Yeah, we'll open it up for discussion. Anybody have any other comments or thoughts on heading in this direction? Heather?
I think I looked it over, looked their website too. It seems very good. I like the buildings that they've handled. One thing I would like us to review the one RFP that we've received before we make a decision on this. So if we could review that RFP and then come back to this.
We could do that for a decision, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that, I don't know, maybe I'm in the wrong spot. It seems like when we have a problem, the first thing to do here is to hire a consultant, and I don't know if that's always necessary. I think that's half the reason why we're in the issues and we've had to deal with the problems that we've had, is because we're listening and hiring consultants that have led us possibly in the wrong direction in some respect. That's my feeling on it, but I'm only one say. I talked to the Glencoe Lions Club today, and for 35 years they've run Millstone Manor in Glencoe, which is a non-for-profit housing project, and they have somebody hired by the hour to do the property management side, a local person. He's an independent contractor. He's actually a Lions member. And they have another person that's there and they do all of the maintenance. They do the painting, they do the grass, they do the sidewalks, they do the garbage, they do everything. And they've been able to keep their fees quite low for 35 years by doing it that way. Like, I just wonder if hiring a consultant to come up with a plan to hire another property manager, which we've got 2 responses at this point that it doesn't look like we're happy with. I don't know if it's going to be money well spent. That's my take, but just say I'm just one person.
Yeah, no, and I'll give my thoughts on it. The key point to me in this, Tim, is the rent up, to get it up and going. And I know in the property management, we could find solutions. I mean, we have different thoughts about maybe contracting with the municipality. They're currently doing, you know, the other building, Parkview Terrace. I mean, town staff take care of, you know, the maintenance, grass cuttings done through Tri-Township or anything. So there are different options. My concern is this: we only get one chance to get the budget and the rents right, and to do the rent up in terms of contacting people, in terms of making sure that the paperwork is done correctly. We don't have that expertise, and we haven't had conversations yet with Tricia about contracting with town staff to get it done, so we're putting a lot on town staff. So it's the board here. I mean, we're all doing as much as we can. I know Don is, I am. I just think we owe it to the municipality, since we're into them for some money, to make sure we do this properly. The last thing we need is to have a building that sits empty for any period of time, and we really need to have this up and going as soon as we can. We need to start getting revenue. And my greatest fear, Tim, is that we're gonna be, I gotta make sure I say this properly, losing money. I think the expectation is that we're not, I get that, but where we're at right now to start, we need to get this building up and going. And I think, I don't want to use Director Huff's words, but when they looked at this, they thought, I guess that would be the board at the time and town staff, that they could muddle their way through. And I might want to suggest that if we had availed ourselves of these people at the start, like proper project management and the rent up and we might not be, we're in good shape, so I don't wanna use the wrong words, but we wouldn't be here scrambling at the 11th hour trying to find a solution. And I hear you about paying consulting fees. Tim, it's not my most favorite thing, but sometimes I don't have expertise in this. I don't think any of us do.
I would just add a comment that this is a very short-term, it's an interim solution. I like the model that you shared with the Lions Club. I would like to see a
Yeah.
local person, and I would like to use local resources, if either it's Tri-Township Arena or somebody else locally to cut the grass and do the snow. That would be my preference over a big corporation anyway. But I don't know how we're gonna get this place full and up and running with a volunteer board. And so my thought is the solution that he's proposed is short-term, it's just till March. And he's also proposing he will help us and transition to that next phase, which would be a project manager, somebody, you know, like I said, whatever that looks like, we could decide what that looks like. I guess alternatively, Tim, what's the other solution? That would be my question if we don't do this. Because we literally have a month before the building's ready for occupancy. Tim?
This option is spending $20,000 for them to create a plan to hire a property management company, unless I'm missing something in the proposal. It's $5,000 a month for 4 months for them to write and issue a proposal for property management services. It's not for them to manage the building.
No.
It's just for them to write a proposal to get us a property manager. So we're essentially paying them $20,000 to find us a property manager. Unless I'm completely
Yeah.
missing it.
I thought that they were gonna help us get it filled. As a property manager is brought on board, TWC will transfer the responsibilities of the filling out of a rental agreements and other tasks to the property manager. So, maybe I was wanting to read what I read, but I thought what I read them saying, they would help us get it filled and then transfer
Right,
that
the
over.
rent up, and that was the term
rent up.
we used.
Do you see it? Sorry, I'm just looking again.
Right, so right there in the second last bullet, right?
Right,
Given the tightness of the timelines till an occupancy permit is issued, estimated at 2.5 months from now, and the need for some initial review, and then process to hire a property manager, TWC will work with appropriate municipal staff on the advertising, the signing, filling of the apartments to ensure the building is filled as soon as possible. As a goal is minimal loss of rental revenue in the month. So it's, to me,
yeah.
it's the second last bullet. Yep.
But is it in a month from now, not 2.5
Yeah,
months?
the timeline is wrong.
Yep.
So we would have to go back to him with that.
So does that take a month and a half off his proposal? Maybe that's balance.
Or maybe we could, that's a good point, I mean, maybe the proposal could be shortened
We could shorten it.
if we got a property, I mean, it may need to be a little bit open-ended is what I'm saying. As soon as we are able to transfer over, we no longer need him. So if we got a property manager in January,
Yeah.
then maybe we could include something like within 30 days notice, we could end this earlier.
Yeah, we could talk to them. Again, there are some discussions we haven't had. I had initial talks with Tricia about what could we do with municipal staff. You know, do we pay a fee? Do you need, but those are, we're so busy right now at the town that those talks, they're gonna be delayed a little bit.
Tim, you had something you want to add?
So, and I'm fairly new here, I don't know how it works, this process of formality. We've had an RFP out for 2 runs now, we've received 2 bids that I'm aware of.
We've got another one to look at today.
Yeah.
I think that's only 2 that we've got back so far.
Right.
I thought that was 3. I think it's
No,
3.
that's
No, that's
two.
two.
I
That's
think
two.
it's only 2 that we've got back. So if we're not happy with the bids that we've received after advertising it twice, are we as a board allowed to not use a tender process and just try to hire a property manager? Like, I don't know here, but.
No, I can answer that because you'd have to see within the municipality, there are pretty tight tendering process bylaws. But on other boards that I'm on and here, you can also make a motion for a sole source contract. You can do that. I know what you're asking, so.
Well, it just seems like we put it out there saying, hey, come bid on it, and we haven't got the bids that we want, so now we're gonna hire a consultant for $5,000 a month, where we could just call every property management company and see, hey, do you guys want it? Would you guys be interested in looking at this?
Right.
We've got a building that we've gotta do, maybe we could hire you to do it, like, cause to me, if I was taking this over, I would much rather take over an empty building than one that somebody in Toronto's filled. Like, that's my take on it. I would much rather start fresh than pick up somebody else's work.
Heather?
We did reach out to some local property management firms prior to the second RFP going out. I got some names of companies that deal with this, and they were given a heads up for it. So we have reached out on our own. Okay. I don't want to spend 20,000 because it just, we've spent money so ridiculously on this whole project. I'm sorry. We can't afford $20,000, okay? I would love to hire them for a month to do the budget alone, so that I feel comfortable with the budgets that we've been seeing, okay? But I can't support 20,000.
Well, my only question is, who's gonna do it?
What are we doing?
I
How are we gonna get
realize
this building
that.
filled?
Like that's it, where we're sitting. But we could go back to them and say, you know, remove all the other stuff, right? We could take care of the property management. So if the key thing is to get the rent up, right? And how long would that take them? 2 months? Again, we may be in this place where we are today because there was a hesitancy to bring the third party in to do it, right, at the time. I agree, I don't like spending money either, we're up against a deadline, and
Jeff?
So if you gave these people, some of these property managers, a heads up, why didn't they apply?
Didn't want it.
Why not?
I didn't get any reasoning because I didn't want to be in conflict, but I gave the names and they were contacted that the RFP was coming up and they didn't bid. I don't know
There's something
why.
wrong with the RFP is what I'm,
I don't think there's anything wrong with the RFP. I feel that people don't want to take it on. I mean, it's like everything else that's been going on since COVID happened. Nobody seems to want to do anything. And that's what I'm finding in different things, not just this. I would have loved to see these people hired initially. That's one of the reasons I've asked for the audit, proposed an audit of this whole venture. But to spend $20,000 right now, Tim brought up the fact about the Lions, or the Glencoe one. My concern is, do we want to take on an employee? Or would that employee be part of the city? That's something we have to consider, is do we want to take on an employee, and who's going to manage that employee if we do?
Tim?
They're independent contractors in Glencoe, they're not employees. They don't charge them HST because they earn less than $30,000 a year. And the board manages the employee. I mean, that's what the Lions Club does. Like, they manage the independent contractor. And if we're not here as a board to do stuff. I don't know what we're here for.
So
I don't have a problem managing a contractor. You know, an employee is different because then we get into deductions and all that kind of thing. But if someone was willing to come forth and, because I do think we want direct access to that person. We want them to come to the meetings. We want to be able to ask questions. We want to have a really good open relationship. So I'm totally on board with that. I just, yeah, I don't know how so again, I mean, I apologize. I've never done a rent up. I'm not going to apologize. That's just a fact. I've never done a rent up for a new build. Tim, you've got some experience doing that. What do you think that we need at this point, based on your experience, and who are we looking for? Maybe that would help.
You're looking for a property manager, somebody that's rented before, somebody that can follow the direction we give them. And I honestly think that where we're going to be is a few months from now, we're going to be sitting here and we're going to be stuck with the same problem. I don't know exactly what the problem is with the proposals we've got, but I'm assuming that it's more money than what we want to spend. And I think that's what we're going to end up with. We're going to end up with more proposals from more property management companies that are more money than what we want to spend. And all we've done is spend another $20,000 to find out that the property management's more expensive than what we think it is. You know?
So if we were to take off the part of this, and there's to me there's two pieces. I'm not hung up on the property management right now. We just need to get the building, right? Because two things can happen in parallel, right, Tim? We can get the rent up, get that process going. While we're looking, we can look for the property manager and ourselves, right? So we could take this proposal and parse out, okay, we don't want you to do that. This is what we need help with right away. The bullet two is the rent up part. And that doesn't interfere with any property management company or solution we may have. So, you know, maybe it's a 2-month contract, but again, we have a list of people. We've got a building that's going to be ready for occupancy, and we're going to still be looking, trying to find a property manager. And when we get one, they're going to be, well, it's going to take me a month, and we're going to be scrambling. So I get that. There might be different solutions for the property manager, but maybe we set that aside from this proposal, go back to them and say, what is it to help us, just help us get rented up.
I don't have a problem with that, Colin, but I do not want to spend $20,000. The Scottish in me is coming out.
Yeah. Well, I can agree with that. Yeah, it is. It's a big chunk of money. Maybe we talk to them just, it's a 2-month contract to get us up and going. Because also you got to put
We've got to get the people in there, and we can't sit here month after month
No, and that's-
discussing how we're going to get the
and
people.
so we have it. So you got all lost revenue, right? If we lose a half a month rent, that's going to eat up to $10,000, and we're going to have an empty building. And then I don't know what that does to mortgages. So to me, a 2-month contract just help us with the rent up. Because you're right, there are other solutions that are available. But that's just, yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, no, not that I disagree with what you're thinking,
Yeah.
but could Glencoe Lions Club help us get started? Have they done that?
Not in a long time. Like the building was built in '88, so
Yeah.
it's more maintenance.
It's more maintenance.
It's just me.
Because I agree that having some quick learnings based on what I'm hearing and some professional learnings, some experience learnings is a good thing. And getting people in is, I can see where that's really important, but.
And I think that's where we need the immediate help, is let's make sure the rents are set right based on their, also just to have a second professional set of eyes on the budget and on the rents is worthwhile to me, because that could save us a lot of money in the future and the help, so.
Is it possible that what we think it's going to cost us to manage this building isn't right?
Yeah, agreed. Agree with you 100%. Right?
Except for the one guy said, perfect, I got it. The one thing that I read the other day, whoever that was, that company in Hamilton or outside of Hamilton, said that money was fine.
Yeah.
I guess for
Not that
me,
we-
I just, you know, and maybe just need another discussion, but when I'm looking at these RFPs of these companies in Toronto, and I guess that's just not what I envision for
Well-
this building.
Well, the company that I know bid it is a London-based company that has an office in Toronto. Like, that was the one that I know bid.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a Toronto address, but they're London people.
Can I just want to ask,
Yeah.
what I read yesterday was from some company.
We're gonna discuss that.
Yeah, that's something in
In
camera.
camera. We can't
That's
discuss that.
in camera.
Yep.
So,
Can I propose something that we move to our in-camera, review the RFP that has been presented, okay? And then come back and re-look at this issue again, please? Tim?
And I guess back to my first question, was we put out an RFP, it doesn't seem like we're ecstatic about our results, which is how this third consultant's come about. Are we able to try to hire, without a tender process, a property manager?
I'm gonna say with some qualification, yes, because a board, we could authorize a sole source. I know you can do that in the municipality, you can authorize a sole source contract.
So why don't we then, I'm gonna make a motion to go into camera, we can finish this discussion and then come up with our decision, okay? So, I need a motion for the board to move into a closed session for the purpose of discussing the following. One item in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes, and one item pursuant to section 2392B of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended regarding personal matters about identifiable individual. And Jen, we don't have on there the RFP. So that came in after the agenda went out?
Yeah, that would still fall under your identifiable.
Okay, perfect, great. Can I get a motion to move into closed camera?
sure.
Heather, seconded by Jeff, all in favor? Okay, we'll just be a minute.
just count down from 10 and you can go ahead.
Okay, we are back in open session, or we need a motion that the closed session adjourn at, what time is it? 12:12, and open session resume. Motion Colin, seconded by Jeff, all in favor? Great. Report on in-camera matters, we need a motion that the direction given in closed session be approved. Heather, Tim, all in favor? And I think at this point, we're gonna go back to number 9, property management, which we sort of ended that discussion early to go into closed. So let's go back there, because I think we need some direction on what we're gonna do with property management. Tim?
I make a motion that we do whatever approvals we need to have a single source, and we can try to hire somebody to manage our building.
Okay, anybody wanna second that motion? Discussion? Jeff?
I
What
don't
is
know
that?
what he means.
What do you
It
mean?
means we can actually go talk to somebody, say, hey, would you like to manage our building? Oh, you would? Okay, perfect. How much would you charge us? You know, opposed to writing a 50-page report on trying to hire somebody. You know, I can only imagine that lots of people wouldn't waste their time filling the stuff out, and we may have better luck picking up the phone and saying, hey, we've got 53 units. How would you like to manage it for us?
So the motion is to, what was the wording?
Single source, I think is what Colin
Yeah.
said. Sole source.
Source. Motion is for the board to proceed with sole source, looking for sole source.
I don't know. I have no
For
idea.
property management.
Right.
Manager. I need someone to second it. Heather? Any more discussion?
Yeah, and I apologize, Tim, I gotta jump in because, and I would do that too. This is the property management piece, right?
Well, it's the whole thing. It's the rent up, it's everything. That's what property managers do.
Okay, how long is it gonna, I don't mean to be obtuse, how long is that gonna take, a month?
I don't know.
And that's my issue, is that, again, it's up to me, it's opportunity cost of business, right? So if it takes another month before we meet again, we find somebody, then we have to go through to it, we're coming up to Christmas. I'm just looking at timing, and if the objection is about spending the money, I mean, we can take this person's, I mean, this is sole source.
Yeah, just saying.
We could take this and go back to them and say, look, all we wanna do is, we just need help with the two things. The rent up, and give us an opinion on the rents, on the market rate, make sure we've captured everything in the budget, which I believe we have. But I think there's two different streams. One is the rent up, we can get that going, so then when somebody takes over the building, and that discussion may be longer, the building's already occupied, right? That, to me, right now, that is to get that process going. And if it's, this is a $12 million project when you throw everything in. So to spend some money to make sure it gets off the ground smoothly seems wise to me. I don't like spending money either, it's one dime, but we have to get something going. And again, putting on my other hat, if I'm the municipality and I heard that we're coming back to the municipality for help and for money, and we had an opportunity to do something, I may be asking, why didn't we do something? So I think I could agree to your motion, Tim, if it's like sole source looking for future property management.
So do both.
Do both, that's what I'm asking, if we can do both in parallel, and simply take this, sorry for being long-winded, take out any reference to property management, right? I think, I agree, we may be able to find somebody, if it's with the town or whatever, but let's get help with the rent up right away.
So can I just
Yeah,
ask,
sure.
just for some clarification? What, you said two things. I heard rent up. I don't totally understand what rent up includes
And I just learned that term too. It means helping fill the building. It's going to.
fill the building.
Getting the applications.
Getting on, because we have
Getting
applications,
people
we
in.
have criteria, and then also making sure that we've covered every dollar on here.
So I would just comment, sorry, Jeff, you could.
So fill the building and make sure we've got the right pricing.
Yes. Yep.
And I was just gonna add that if we go back to Tim's motion, that we go to a single source to hire somebody, a property manager, we could include this person as part of that, right? We could say, okay, well, let's come back in a week, and we could go back to him and say, okay, this is more specifically what we think we need, take out a lot of the other stuff that were in his initial proposal, and he could be one of the single source that we look at. If he's the only one, then we don't have a lot of choices. But if in the next week, we talk to a couple more people that might be interested, and they could put a couple of page letter proposal together, then I would be okay with that.
Well, even talking to the town, there, you look at the town as a vendor, right? So that's a single source too, so
Yeah?
I'm not opposed to that part.
When is the building ready for occupancy?
Well, I know it's scheduled for completion December 17th. Does that mean it's ready for occupancy? I'm gonna ask you.
Not necessarily.
Should it?
No.
First of the year, essentially, is
Let's
what.
say Jan 1, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometime in January, you could start receiving tenants. And we have a list of tenants
Yes.
and applications.
No. Names and phone numbers.
That's all we have.
We don't even know if they're qualified.
The room's gone silent.
I can see Jeff's thinking, I mean, Tim's finishing, I'm gonna let him finish his thought.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to,
That's work. So, and you're saying, let's get these guys to get that part of it done.
Get that part done. Sorry, I'm not running the meeting, sorry.
No.
No, I agree with, I like Tim's idea of approaching other property management companies, okay? But I also, in the interim, I agree with Colin that we have to get something moving today type of thing.
Yes.
And so I am willing to spend some money, but not 20,000 to do it.
so what if I volunteered to work the list that we have and start to get applications coming from those people as a board member?
I'm also willing to help with that, okay? Do we have applications?
I have blank applications.
Okay, so I'm willing to work with Tim.
And then in tandem, be looking for a property manager, is that your suggestion?
Well, I've got a motion on the floor to go to a single source. I'm willing to, I don't care if it would be a subcommittee or something, or I don't care how you say it, but the first step is going to be to actually get applicants to apply, because we don't have applications, we have names on a list. So whether it's us or whether it's somebody else, that's going to be the first thing they do. So if I volunteer the time to do that, we're not losing any time by not making a decision, because we're getting the applications in, which is the same thing that a consultant would do. I don't know. I joined this board to give back, and it's something I can do to give back. I mean, I went on the board because I'm a housing provider, and this is what I know and do. I feel like I'm handcuffed a little bit because, you know, it's just a different, it's a new process. It's not the way my private works, and yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor, so let's deal with that first, and then we can come back to the recommendation that Tim made. So the motion on the floor is that we move to look for a property manager using a sole source proceed.
Yeah, we're just
Help me out with the words.
we're just authorizing to go around the RFP tender process. And I actually support that part.
Okay, so that's the motion on the floor. Did we get a second? Heather seconded, so all in favor? Okay, motion passed. Then the second part of our discussion was what we will do in the interim. And I'm gonna, can I put in a motion? No, okay.
Yeah, so you know what, to help your chair, so when we're talking about, Tim McCracken, we're talking about rent up, right? What are we gonna do about rent up?
Well, I think what we need to do, what I'm hearing, is that we strike a subcommittee to start the application process until we bring a property manager on board.
That's what, that would be
Is
my,
that what you're
that would be
looking for?
my motion, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so,
fine with that.
so, that's the motion on the floor. Am I allowed, I'm not allowed to do that, right?
No, I can,
Well, Tim
Put the
was
motion
one,
before.
yeah,
Okay.
is there some names of the subcommittee?
Well, Heather's
Heather?
volunteered.
Okay.
Do you need help? I'm happy to help.
Great, Jeff can help them. So that 3? All right.
I have no experience.
Yeah, that's fine.
Make phone calls.
no, you know what, Tim, that's a good solution, good discussion, I'll agree to that. If somebody, you know, we're willing to put in, that's what we need.
I'm not
We need time and people.
Yeah, I'm not against the other completely. I just feel like it's not the solution that we need. It's not the end solution. So as long as we're not losing any time,
No,
you know, we can get the applications in. We know what the priorities are, you know. I don't
So,
know.
sir, we have a motion.
But can I add to,
Yep.
one concern I have is this list, okay? If we're going to do this, which I think we have to do and we have to start it right away, I would like to see a blast go out to people that have put their name on the list to fill out this application.
We'll,
You know, we're gonna have to call them
we'll
one by
contact them one by one.
But there's other people that are interested too,
yeah.
Yeah.
okay? So we have to do this fairly to everybody.
But we have to start with the list because that's what the municipality promised. So I think that we can put a blast out saying.
Yeah, we can do both.
We can say we're accepting applications, but the subcommittee needs to first go through that list and call everybody, tell them what the criteria is, tell them what the rent is, find out if they want an application. And then they have to be the priority. Only Heather, because that's what they were promised.
Yeah.
If you think they were promised something different, but I'm pretty sure that's what.
I'd like to know who exactly promised it to them. I hear that the promise was made. I'd like to see where the promise was made.
What's the,
I've heard things that I'm not happy with. Who made these promises? Who was the person that made these promises? And I never, since I've lived here and this building started, and I've been here since the start of this whole process, I have never seen a call out from anybody to go on a list.
so Heather, my question would be, what is the problem with starting with the list? Why is that not a good place to start? Regardless of what was promised, we have a list of people that are interested. Why would we not start with them?
I don't have a problem with starting with that, but I want to see a blast go out.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
before any final decisions are made on each application, people have had a chance to apply.
Agreed.
Well, because we have housing priorities.
Right.
That's right.
I would say that's the reason why we need to be advertising the building, because
Yeah.
we can't just go off of a list, because we might be missing a priority that the building has. There might be a veteran that hasn't applied because they didn't know about it, and they're a priority over somebody that's just an average Joe.
Yeah, no, we're all in agreement with that,
Yeah.
just, we agree with that.
Right, but I think we start with the list because we have it.
We start with the list.
But we would also at the same time, let the
Okay.
community know that we're available for applications, but we have to figure out how we're doing that first.
Can we start with one more thing? Can we get an email set up for Caradoc Housing?
Sorry, Jen is waving.
Sorry,
We have a motion
you
on
have a
the floor.
mover, you have no
We have a
seconders,
motion.
the discussion should happen once it's on the floor.
So we got the,
Just- We just need a seconder for that motion, for that subcommittee.
We're-
Tim,
So making a motion for a rent up subcommittee.
Okay, would someone second that motion?
I would.
Colin? Okay, discussion about how we're going to, what is needed. So, an email for Caradoc Housing?
Right.
I need
Who's gonna man it?
Well, I guess for now, the subcommittee can. I don't want to be personally emailing everybody
I'll put that on my to-do list.
an email.
Yep.
Right, and I think the next thing that we should do, which will be the most effective, is a sign with that email address advertising it.
Okay,
You know,
we can ask the town to.
Yep.
rent a sign.
To do that.
Yep.
I think those two things are a great start.
Yes.
The less phone numbers, you know, you don't want people calling.
If they call me all the time.
Right, exactly. If we can try to limit phone conversations, you know, the more we can do through email, the less headaches it'll create for us as a board.
I think that should be doable. And then the third thing, going back to the website, if the website isn't up, at the very least, we can ask the town's social media, the municipal site on their socials to put out the email address.
Right.
And then will you be able to email people applications too?
And we can send the applications out. That way we're not doing it from our, because otherwise the building's gonna be full. 2 years from now, I'm gonna get a tenant emailing me saying, hey, my toilet's plugged. You know, and I'm gonna be in trouble, so I'd rather that it was separate.
Okay, and then the process will be, they will get an email.
So I can do something, I can approach the CAO to see if they're willing to help out with this part. So if we have a Caradoc Housing email, if it's somebody who's there can monitor it and maybe send.
I'll send the emails out to
Yeah.
tenants, like,
Yeah.
but I'd rather it be separated
Yeah, that makes
from
sense.
Yep.
my personal.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Can I just ask, this list that we have,
Yep.
is that for all tenants or just the tenants that need support?
Well, I think at the time the list was started, it wasn't really communicated what the criteria was. So there'll be some people on that list who are gonna meet the criteria, and there'll be some people who don't. The building has units, has
17 units or something?
for the criteria, and then the rest are not. So
The
it'll be a
rest are
matter.
not.
Right. The rest are open to the public.
That
They're
was my
market
question.
rent. Yeah.
Okay.
So depending on where
So
people
the list
land-
does not have to apply to the rest of those units?
Well,
I'm
we-
just confirming.
No, well, I think we would contact them, find out if they qualify for the reduced rent, or are they interested in a market rent unit, and then send out the application. I mean, but some people might say, well, I don't wanna pay the market rent, so, and I don't qualify, so then they would be off the list. So it'd be a little bit of both. Heather?
We're talking about this list, which none of us have ever seen. We have no idea how many names are on this list. I'm not going to sit and phone 200 people.
Right.
I'm saying go out with a blast, here's the application form.
I don't think we can do that. I know I can't do it. I told people to get on the list, so
And the municipality did
tell
tell.
people.
I did tell them to get
I'm
on.
happy to work the list.
Yeah, I'll help work the list, because
We
we,
can all work.
whether they did, whether it was previous admin, whatever.
I know, but I would just like to see the list.
We're
We're gonna get it.
We're gonna see
We'll
it.
have to get sent it.
That's the first thing they're gonna send the subcommittee.
Jen's giving me the finger.
I'm only, not that, I do
Wagging
know that,
finger.
I do know that list started already way before the new build.
Yes.
Started as a waiting list for the current Caradoc housing.
Right.
When people, so that, it was just ongoing, it's just been a consistent list, I do know that.
And that's supported house, that's supported, that those people
On
on the list are looking for a supported housing.
Yeah,
any
yeah, a
kind.
lot, I mean, there's probably a mixture, but yeah.
Okay.
There's a mixture.
All right, well, I think we have some direction. We're gonna start a subcommittee. Colin and I will work with the town about emails and signs and socials.
Yep.
Right, and then the committee can get started. We shall encourage people, my guess is that we'll probably have to call a special meeting in a couple of weeks to see where we're at with the property management. This might take a little bit of work to run up. But should we plan that date now, Jen? Probably is a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Set a date. Do we want to meet again in 2 weeks? What does everybody think about the time frame?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I can't do it in 2 weeks, I believe.
At all that week, or is there another day that week? You're allowed to go on vacation. It's okay.
No, it's not vacation.
We'll do
Okay.
it. We need to meet.
How
Yeah,
about,
you need to
okay,
meet,
we'll do
so-
it on the 29th. Is everybody else available the 29th?
I'll
Hopefully
make
Frank
myself.
would be, and that will be quorum. Okay. So same time on the Wednesday, the 29th at 11:30. And that will be primarily to discuss, well, we'll discuss how the list is going, how the calls are going. We'll get a report back from the subcommittee, and we'll report back on any sole source providers that may have come forward.
And who's going to get the list to the subcommittee? Like,
Bill.
okay,
Yeah.
and, okay.
Bill Dakin, the
Director of
town
Finance.
director of finance, who's primarily been spearheading the project. Okay, we don't need a motion for any of that, I don't think, Jen.
No, as long as you agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
question for the subcommittee. Remind me what the criteria are. I know the three, there are the three, and there may be a income. Is there a residency requirement?
No.
So we don't have you have to be a resident of Strathroy-Caradoc?
That was not what we had discussed.
Yeah, that's one for me, cause
We had discussed that.
it was, and I don't know, I'm honestly
We had
asking.
discussed it and said that we would like to give first priority to locals.
Two local people.
Yes, we did in previous meetings through minutes.
But then we talked about what's local and what if they had to get an apartment in
That's
Woodstock
right.
because they couldn't find one in Mount Bridges.
I'm just, Tim, I'm just remembering the
Just because-
conversation.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that in the sense that we could have a young or senior person that's living in London because they didn't have another option. So by making it a resident of Strathroy-Caradoc, we could be eliminating somebody that's lived here their whole life.
I remember, that's all I'm trying to remember the conversation now, because it was, and if somebody lived here for 30 years, moved to London because
There's nothing
they
else.
couldn't find it and they'd come back. But we could manage that process, right?
Well, by advertising with a sign, you're getting people that are only driving by locally.
But we can make a judgment call, is what I'm saying, right, Tim? I understand that.
I don't think you can make a judgment call on that. And I don't think you can discriminate between somebody based off where they came from or didn't come from.
Well, we're limiting it to veterans,
But
et
that's an
cetera.
exception under
Under-
under
But
federal,
I think by
federal government
by
gives us
advertising locally,
right.
if we get somebody apply from Toronto, we're gonna have to
Well, you have to
process
review
them.
it.
We can't deny them because they live in Toronto. Like, that's not possible, but I think by using, what we've talked about is by using local, like a sign, you're going to,
And it goes back to the list, because somebody from Toronto is not gonna know the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc has a list for.
I just had asked,
we can't
give
discriminate,
the public fallback, right?
we can't discriminate based off where somebody's previously lived.
Is that,
But again, I think if we go back to the list, and this is the strength of the list, that I will bet my dollar that 99% of the people on that list are either from Strathroy-Caradoc or ties to Strathroy.
Same thing with using social media and a billboard.
And a billboard.
You're getting people that are driving by, people that know Strathroy-Caradoc. You're not
Yeah.
getting, into Toronto.
yep, fair enough, that's good talk.
Okay, Heather, did you have something?
Yeah, just one thing, if we created something, I can get it out on social media. Like if there was something that said applications now being,
Okay, so when we get the email address, we'll get the municipality to create a social thing, and then we can share it.
Yes.
Let's see how big the list is also, and like how many people we have to deal with. I don't know if it's 40 or
Any
200
ideas,
or
Jen?
400.
Yeah, I think it was in and around the 160
Yeah,
mark-ish.
we'll get the list.
Okay. All right, I think we're good. I think we should,
Nope, that was good discussion.
good discussion.
That's why we do these things.
So just to, what I got out of this, so the rent up, we're going to take care of.
We're gonna start.
Now, what about the market price on that?
That's in the budget, the
In
market.
the budget.
Okay, you wanted, that was important to you.
Right.
One more.
The other thing, sorry, Tim. So we're also doing the single source property,
Looking for a property manager.
and we're also looking at shared financials.
Oh, that was No.
I heard that conversation.
No, I had put it out there as
Well, we're looking at,
Something you would talk
of
about.
a benefit of going to like the third party to look at it. We're comfortable with it.
I have an idea.
Yep.
Sorry, Tim?
Sorry, are you,
Jack?
you can finish.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not
sorry.
sure.
Would it also make sense to contact any local realtors to see if they would want to list, if somebody would like to list the market units for rent on MLS? Does that make any sense?
I don't think we need, I think that that might be an option if we're looking for people, Tim, but I think maybe we should keep it.
Good idea for the back pocket though, right? Let's look at the list and see what shapes.
You might pull in some people from Toronto.
Yeah, then we're gonna start going wider. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn the Caradoc Housing Corporation meeting November 15th, 2023 at 12:37? Tim?